Need a vacation? Come on down to Skeggi, the most happened resort location in the New World. You'll find riches and plunder aplenty here, amongst the pirates and Norscan reavers that call this colony home. But be careful, the Norse have short tempers. While they might be a tad more agreeable than their brothers up north, many still worship the primordial truth. The hound, serpent, crow, and eagle still make their mark here, but for others in this prosperous port city, gold, guts, and glory are the only marks worth aspiring to, and for them, adventures into the Lustrian jungle in search of long-lost artifacts and priceless jewels are a calling unto themselves. It's a hard life on the Isthmus of Lustria, and it doesn't get any easier when the Lizardmen show up to play. Looks like an explorer might have been off a bit more than he could chew, stole himself an Old One's artifact of great importance, and Nakai the Wanderer and Lord Mazdamundi just appeared at the head of a mighty war host, and they want it back. 10,000 troops will battle it out the port city of Skeggi on a gorgeously crafted custom map by Kazad and the End Times mod by the Duke. This was an epic one, boys. Stick around. It's gonna be a good show. And on the western side of the city, Marcus Wolfhart and the New World Expedition stand ready to receive this Jurassic charge. There are a lot of Lizardmen on the way. They're equipped to show these prehistoric beasts a thing or two about faith, steel, and gunpowder. Imperial Knight contingent will be the first into the breach, while the skink swarms gather in their thousands, swirling at the feet of a mighty Dread Saurian, the premier predator of these jungles, the King Lizard, shaking the ground with each terrifying step and ready to fit entire regiments inside its massive jaws. Truly blessed by the Old Ones. And speaking of blessed by the Old Ones, Nakai the Wanderer is here, alongside a Rev Crystal and a whole bunch of Saurus. On the other side of the battlefield, march Lord Pepe Mundi and the cohort of Sotek. Here come the Salamander Hunting Pack, a lot of Cold One Riders and Pterodons on the flanks, and some Eshin Hounds, the dogs of Skeggi, ready to spring their ambush from the flank and outflank the flankers, ready to charge in behind and put some pressure on the Lizardmen rear. So already Lizardmen getting aggressive, moving towards the ramparts now, and the gunpowder volleys will signal the beginning of this battle. Human ingenuity and that adventurous spirit to boldly go where no man has gone before, pitted against predatory instinct and a fierce desire to defend one's home and people. It's basically Avatar without Pocahontas or ponytail sex, and a lot more original to boot. There are 5,500 children of the Old Ones leading this initial assault, and the port is not fully walled yet, so the defenders have some opportunity to meet Lizardmen ferocity with spear and shield. Carlo Horsemen in the vanguard, lining up for a spectacular last charge of the Rohirrim into the teeth of this skink attack. We're getting blasted by Salamander Magma that did a lot of damage on initial impact. They should mulch their way through skink cohort without too much trouble. Mazdamundi will see them off for now. On this side, Empire Knights caught out by a Dread Saurian, and that is not where they want to be. The Dread Saurian is one of the best cavalry killers in all of Mortal Empires. It has 950 armor-piercing weapon strength in the End Times mod by the Duke. So, yeah, they got destroyed in that engagement, and the Imperial Knights will need to be very careful because he's still stomping his way through and already generating tons of value for the Lizardmen attackers. Some Rampage activated on the Feral Cold Ones, but the Imperial Knights are pinned for now, and they are getting shish kebab by those gnashing teeth and claws. Now, Skeggi is, of course, a loose alliance of fortune seekers in the New World. It was originally founded by a Norscan, Mr. Losteriksson, in the year 888 of the Imperial calendar, which is about 1,600 years before the coronation of Emperor Karl Franz. But just because it was founded by a Norscan doesn't mean it's only Northmen who settled there, and indeed, it's a trade hub for Estalian conquistadors, Chilean explorers, Imperial merchants, and just about any human who wants a fresh start and a chance at gold and plunder. Lizardmen, for their part, don't really care much about ordinary rubies or sapphires, gold or jade, which are the things that humans typically like to garner an appreciation for. They care about Old One's artifacts, so as long as you leave Lizardmen alone and their temple cities unspoiled, you can pretty much do whatever you want, which is generally getting stung by armor-cracking hornets of the size of your forearm, getting trampled into paste by wild triceratops, bitten by poisonous plant life that explodes your lymph nodes as you die an agonizing death drowned in your own fluids, that kind of thing. Or, you know, just getting old-fashioned malaria from the mosquitoes and insect life that's kind of inimical to human biology. So, yeah, it's a hard life here on the Isthmus of Lustria, and so far, it ain't getting any easier for them, because the colonists are being run through by Mazdamundi and Zlok the Ancient Stegodon, while their crossbows and handguns fire in and try to push back all this Lizardmen aggression. Their lines are holding for now, but the Berserkers and Marauders in the front ranks are doing what they can to provide a field of fire for the handguns up top, but the ramparts only face the one direction, and for some reason handguns can't fire back inside the city. CA things, you know, whatever. So they need to find a new spot to shoot in, or they're not going to be able to do too much damage once the Lizardmen push through the initial waves. Feral Cold Ones munching on the Imperial Knight contingent, which did not last for very long. They went in and amongst the Dread Saurian, and I think that sent quite a few of them to their deaths. Black Lion's ROR, the Imperial War Wagon, equipped with a Hellblaster volley gun firing in, dealing a lot of damage to the Lizardmen front ranks, and a Bright Wizard floating overhead on a Pegasus. Bubble of Nope going down from Mazdamundi. That is a bigger radius than you will see in vanilla. It's actually huge. A lot of Lizardmen army caught up in its influence, and that should support them quite nicely as they're granted a ward save, while the Feral Cold Ones on this side try to bust through a spear wall, which is holding firm. What you'll notice from a lot of the Skeggi troops, of course, they will be a conglomeration of Imperial settlers, Norscan settlers, Chilean settlers, a lot of units from each of those factions, but they'll be using a lot of Lizardmen artifacts and technology because their stuff breaks down when they're in the New World, and so they need to find whatever they can. If they kill some Saurus or some Skinks, might as well use their McQueedles and figure out a way to incorporate that into your own form of warfare. So, at the moment, the defenders are having a tough time in the front ranks. Marcus Wolfhart overhead on the ramparts, looking for something important to shoot in, but the Spirit of the Jungle's being smart here. They kept the Dread Saurian and the Croc Scores and Nakai back for now. Gonna get some heals up with the Rev Crystal and wait for a better opportunity to plunge in. After all, in chess, pawns go first. I think that was Magneto who said that. And yeah, so let the Skanks go in, let the Saurus go in, let them absorb the initial waves of gunpowder, the initial volleys of handgun fire and all that stuff. And the Ashen Hounds with a rear charge on a huge contingent of Skinks and dealing a tremendous amount of damage. Now, they are going to be best against low armor targets. They seem to have a pretty punchy charge. A lot of the cavalry, the Carlor Horsemen, got run over after their initial Rohirrim charge, which was a very good one. The Ashen Hounds, though, sprang their ambush and they got in the rear. They've gotten a full surround off on the Feral Cold Ones and a lot of the Skinks, and they are munching on some Lizardmen booty at the moment. That's what you like to see. Yeah, they prey on lightly armored chaff, and here comes a burning head from the Bright Wizard above on the Imperial Pegasus. Kind of dodged by the Lizardmen here, who you might notice have a different color scheme in the end times as opposed to vanilla. And I must say I like it. A lot of green, a lot of blue, a lot of aquatic kind of colors going on. And that burning head dealt, well, it killed quite a few of those Skinks. Only one of the units was able to fully dodge it. Marcus Wolfhart still overhead. Not sure he's doing a whole lot at the moment. Just kind of sitting, watching, enjoying the spectacle. It's as close as you'll get to watching the NFL or Premier League in the Warhammer world, I guess. Get up on top of the ramparts, enjoy it from the skybox, and maybe sit back, enjoy some female company, and enjoy a couple beer or two. Yeah, not too bad. I heard Skeggi actually has a nice mead that far surpasses anything from the Northmen side of things. The Norse do like their mead, but I imagine they have a pretty limited supply of bees to harvest honey from the comb up there in the snows and bleak cold of the Sea of Claws. So here in Lustria, they've created some rather exquisite and alcoholic concoctions from which to sup from. Getting schwasty with the boys while we're killing dinosaurs and acquiring currency. Sign up, lads. Soldiering. It's a good life. The Great Swords are into melee now with the Skin cohort. Their bonus versus infantry should be quite helpful in this prolonged engagement, but when Mazdamundi stops his way over, things might start getting a little bit ugly for them. They've held well, but of course in these initial assaults, Lizardmen vastly outnumber the defenders. A lot of their troops are stationed further back inside the city, and they'll be going for that defense in-depth approach. So, out on this flank, Dread Saurian looks like it might be wanting to get stuck in once more. Imperial Captain utterly surrounded by the Spirit of the Jungle. Black Lion's War Wagon not firing in to help out too much. It has dealt some good damage to the cohort of Sotek, actually, but that rampage is about to come to an end. The Dread Saurian just showed up and an initial attack takes a wagon down immediately. Cohort of Sotek have popped their refuse to die, so we won't be losing too many models in this engagement, but it might wear off soon. And then, yeah, this war wagon is just toast at this point. It's pretty much exactly like the Hunter and the Beast trailer. Dread Saurian chasing after war wagons. Well, this time he catches up. Another burning head coming down on top. Oh my god, that dealt so much damage. Embers and Fury burning a path of destruction through the Lizardmen. And the Kroxigors are into melee now. A little left boot kicking a few Imperial defenders. Clear over the mountains like Uncle Rico. Saurus and the rest of the Skinks are closing in too. Rev Crystal is nearby. And he'll be very useful in supporting these Kroxigors and allowing them to punch through the halberd formations. Heal them up. Get some infantry support in there too. And certainly have enough punching power to get through just a few halberds. So, yeah, this is already getting disgusting for the defenders. Nakai just showed up, and oh yeah, well that's what he's known for. Might be my favorite animation of his when he goes frolicking through the daisies. An uppercut, chopping arms and heads off left, right, and center, and the Kroxigors are about to bust through. I'm not sure I've ever even seen that animation before. Oh my god, I've seen that one. The left hook is, or left uppercut. The Shoryuken, always powerful. Shoryuken's the uppercut, and Hadouken's a fireball, right? I didn't play too much Street Fighter. Here we go. They're through the front ranks and into the second now. Handguns firing in, and there are some spears and swordsmen, some Huskarls waiting nearby. Skeggi is pushing out pretty aggressively over on the right flank, on the northern side of the city. But yeah, the Bastiladon and the Kroxigors are into the second wave now, and there's not a lot of bonus versus large or armor piercing to engage with here. Kroxigors should have a wondrous time alongside their blessed leader. Nakai the Wanderer is super powerful. Dread Saurian fighting in the alleyway immediately to its south. Curse of the Midnight Wind going down on the Skeggi and Imperial defenders. Going to make it even harder for them to engage. Minus 30 armor, minus 24 melee defense means the Kroxigors should be hitting well above even their weight class. And this is brutal. This is savage. This is wrecked. This is prehistoric instinct at its fullest and its finest. And these Marauders don't really have much of a chance in this engagement. Now, I think Kroxigors in the end times are bonus versus large. But their stat line is quite good. I believe Monstrous Infantry is kind of improved in a lot of ways in the end times compared to vanilla. They just seem to do better in prolonged melee with enemy infantry. So, yeah, they haven't taken a whole lot of damage so far, and they busted their way through 3 full units of Imperial defenders, which to be fair is probably how it should work if you're not bringing their hard counter, as in pinning them down with halberds and shooting them with armor piercing. It's not going to go so well for you. The Dread Saurian, on the other hand, has begun to drop low. There are 2 handgun units firing down this causeway, and the Dread Saurian has realized it. He'll pull away to the safety behind those buildings. I don't know if it's because he's a hyper-intelligent predator or just he's feeling a little bit of pain, so he says, I'm going to go somewhere where I don't feel all those little stings, but those stings add up, and they can pierce his hide, given enough time. Kroxigor is super spread out right now in a long, thin column, and the waves and waves of attackers continue filing in. So the Skinks have mostly been obliterated up to this point. The Saurus are in now. Mazdamundi about to come in and support too. I have not seen any bound spells from him outside the Bubble of Nope up to this point. I believe he's brought Arcane Unforging and Apotheosis. The Apotheosis is always a big deal, especially in these kind of siege scenarios, because you want something that can kind of heal you up over time. Regrowth is nice, but Apotheosis kind of triggers that map-wide passive over and over and over again. And over the course of a battle, you might get more use of an Apotheosis than you would from a Regrowth, simply because of those ward saves. So healing is great no matter how you look at it, whether it's 580 HP from an Apotheosis or 1100, 1200 from a Regrowth. But the Dread Saurian, not so dreaded anymore. When you run into faith, steel, and gunpowder, that's what happens. Don't try it! Just destroyed by some fantastic handgun volleys, and that is a big monster off the field for the Spirit of the Jungle. Gonna be really important, I think, for the defenders to keep those gunpowder troops alive. It's really your only counter to Mazdamundi, Nakai, and the Krasagors. I mean, sure, they have some halberds and regular archer troops to help fire in. Oh, wow, Marcus Wolfhart dropping 3 Krasagors with a handful of volleys from behind. He snuck all the way out of the port city of Skeggi, ambushed Lizardmen from the rear, and I don't know if they just didn't notice it because he has snipe in the end times, or if they just want to avoid him for now, but he got some great kills there. Some very good value, and that's actually dropped the Krasagors down below half. Now, Nakai, using his Miasma of Despair, continuing his frolicking through the daisies, his pretty prances through the jungle, each ending in a cascade of red ruin, a lot of exploded bodies and tormented corpses on the other end of it. That sacred standard he holds in his right hand when he swings that around, yeah, it's not something you want to get hit by. Not by a 2-ton croc that has a bit of sentience and a lot of speed and punching power. Very painful. Nice rear charge coming in from those glorious looking Cold Wind Spear Riders. That blue and green looks fantastic on them. I would not mind if this was their default color scheme. I think it looks really good, actually. Mazdamundi hunting down the great swords. Oh my god. Zlok is having a grand old time. More Marauders on this side. Yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about. They are equipped with Lizardmen. I don't know. I guess those are Lizardmen halberds. Temple Guard halberds, maybe. But they're trying to catch up to the Salamander hunting pack and prevent them from firing in. Wolfheart about to unleash his amber bow. Get some focus shot in there. Nice on the Skink Heaven's Priest. Dealt about, I don't know, 800 damage or so, and then a 300 damage follow-up from his regular bow. And that Skink Priest is dropping quite low. Death rolls going off for the Croxy boys. And that is an Imperial Regiment finished off for good. Man, really a rough way to go out, honestly. You sail thousands and thousands of miles from home. You promise your wife and your kids you'll be back. And then you get eaten by a dinosaur. It's rough. Kind of feel for them. And it's kind of the issue I have with a lot of the Jurassic Park movies. They always try to justify, at least in later movies, they try to justify the brutal deaths some of the characters get by saying, oh, this person wasn't that good. Like the babysitter in Jurassic World. I mean, all she does is kind of ignore the kids, and then she gets gangbanged by a pterodon squad, and then thrown into a mosasaur tank and swallowed whole. It's like, do you really think that her actions in that movie justified the terrible death she got? Probably not. By the way, look at this. This is Losteriksson up here. Losteriksson of the Cool Tribe. So bonus first large. He can summon Huskarls through the Old Ways ability, and he's got some Huskarls in his front ranks too to help bodyguard him. So this is quite the defensible approach at the end, at that final capture point. See if the Lizardmen are able to punch through. Wolfheart still kind of harrying the flanks for now. Doesn't have a lot of ammunition left, but might be able to do some good damage to the Rev Crystal before he's out. And Rev Crystaling up the Krasagors, so topping them off with some nice HP and heals. But yeah, in some of the earlier Jurassic Park movies, like I think in Jurassic Park 2 with Jeff Goldblum as the main character, yeah, like that super nice guy, the balding guy, helps all his friends out, saves them from falling off the cliff, and then he gets ripped in half by 2 T-Rexes. Like, what the F, dude? He doesn't deserve that death at all. Even when they try to justify some of these deaths, it's like, a lot of them just don't deserve it at all. Which, I guess, fair play. Like, a T-Rex or a Velociraptor is not going to discriminate between whether you're a terrible human being or a good one, but generally, I think it's a decent rule of thumb to leave the agonizingly brutal deaths for the characters that actually deserve it, and often those movies don't. And Jurassic Park's got plenty of other issues, too. Don't get me wrong. They haven't been good movies for a pretty long time. Oh my god, Nakai the Wanderer going off, 180 kills. Anytime he swings that sacred standard, just explosions with Michael Bay. Michael Bay. Explosions with Michael Bay. Handgun volley putting him super low though, and Losteriksson of the Cool coming in, trying to strike that killing blow. The Hunt, +4 melee attack, causing terror. reducing or actually literally getting rid of immune to psychology. That's a pretty cool ability. So if you're immune to psych and get hit by the hunt, that will strip it away. He's down to 900 HP, pushing through his own troops, trying to escape. I think we might be able to see him again, especially with the Rev Crystal if he gets a heal off. He's not shattered yet, so he might be all right. But Marcus Wolfheart is waiting nearby. Oh, and we're getting a Hunter and the Beast showdown. And we'll see if Wolfheart can strike the killing blow. Now, if he had 2 or 3 more shots left in his bow, he would be able to easily finish off Nakai the Wanderer. Unfortunately, he's out of ammunition, and he does not have the speed to catch up. So, either he has to chase him all the way to the edge of the map and stay close enough to prevent him from rallying, or he'll chase him, and then at some point Nakai will get enough space to rally, come back, and, well, then Wolfheart might be in trouble. That could be a pretty tough duel for him. He's not exactly a melee blender. Nakai is. That could get scary. There's also a Heaven's Priest nearby. Here we go. That is a summon from Losteriksson. And dropping Seafang from the rear, and Huskarls disembarking from their tiny-ass boat. They've got the Mark of Khorne. Immediately, they are ready to plunge into the fray. Immune to psychology, more charge bonus, more melee attack, more weapon damage, and a full rear charge. Losteriksson with the Huskarl summon. That's huge. And that Mark of Khorne is a big buff for them. These are essentially Chaos Warriors. Bubble of Nope going down from Lord Mazdamundi. They've got the Rev Crystal nearby for some heals, and the Cracksgores are still looking relatively healthy. Lizardmen are surrounded now, and they've got to punch their way through those Huskarl summons immediately, or they could be in big trouble. Lord Mazdamundi and Zlok, the Ancient Stegodon, a little bit higher up on the precipice, running over stuff, sending them flying down the hill. A lot more Saurus and a lot more Lizardmen than there are defenders at the moment. Vastly outnumbering them, and oh my god, Nakai the Wanderer came back. Only 800 HP on him. Wolfheart was close to 3,000, but now he has to outduel 2 characters, not just one, and this just will not go well for him. Oh my god. Curse of the Midnight Wind. It's bad news bears for the leader of the New World Expedition. Nakai is on the hunt, and the hunter becomes the hunted. And I'm not sure he can escape. He is slower than Nakai the Wanderer. That is one big angry croc bounding after him. Double fast forward to see if we can catch that killing blow. Yep, 250 HP left on Wolfheart. And he cannot escape. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. Cannot imagine that feeling of helplessness. And a final strike will lay him low. It is over for Marcus Wolfheart, who bit off a lot more than he could chew. He thought he could chase Nakai the Wanderer down. Nakai got enough space to rally, and from there, it was all downhill. And Marcus Wolfheart will enter his grave a bit early. I'm not sure how he died in the end times. I know he kills Torox with a nice strike, a nice shot into the exposed portion of flesh on his throat. The one part of his body, basically his Achilles heel. But I don't know how Wolfheart himself does. Probably gets torn apart by beastmen or something after it, just like Boris Todbringer. But let me know. Maybe they didn't even write about him. Could be like Scarsnake. They could have just forgotten about him. We'll see. Let me know in the comment section. So let's take a look at this final approach. Lizardmen must ascend towards that final capture point. There are some Huskarls with Temple Guard shields. There are some handgun Pathfinders at the top. And Losteriksson as well. But that is the final citadel. And we'll see if they're able to breach it and kick the humans off the continent for good. Nakai the Wanderer bounding in to the Skeggi infantry, but Losteriksson is nearby, and a handgun volley kills him off. He only had 700 HP, and that just was not enough to survive that blow. Mazdamundi is pissed. The Ancient Stego is pissed. The Cold Ones are pissed, and they are swarming on top of the Skeggi defenders, now going after Losteriksson. That's probably a good duel for Mazdamundi, honestly. Yes, Losteriksson is bonus for Slarge, but he's an Ancient Stegodon with an insane stat line, so he's got enough HP to take that duel. Oh, maybe not! Maybe I spoke too soon. Mazdamundi is low. Maybe it'll be better to pull him back behind the attackers and do some apotheosis. Just use his support abilities for now. His Curse of the Midnight Wind and his Bubble of Nope ward save have been invaluable this game. We'll probably see some more if he doesn't die, but the Frontiersmen are dropping him so low. Apotheosis and the Bubble of Nope, the Shield of the Old Ones, keeping him alive for now. He would be dead without those two abilities, but yeah, he has to retreat. If he does not, he will die. And I'm not sure the Lizardmen can afford to lose their leader at this point in the battle. Arcane Unforging going down on the Frontiersmen. Kind of a weird use of that ability, but perhaps it works differently in the end times than it does in the base game. Typically in vanilla, want to reserve that for single entity troops, high value ones. Greenskins casters, put Wah on cooldown, that kind of thing. But Curse of the Midnight Wind for the 5th or 6th time this game, dropping the defense and the armor of anyone caught in its vicinity. And the Crossgores and Cold One Spearrider just kind of jam-packed and jelly-tight, trying desperately to push through and get to the top, shut down the handgunners for good. If they're able to do that, I think they can take this game. But the Skeggi Elite, the Huskarl troops and Losteriksson are holding firm. They have high melee defense, high armor, and Temple Guard shields. And they're beasting it right now. An epic last stand for the defenders of Skeggi. The Crocsgores are dropping low. The Salamanders are dropping low. And they might be able to hold this. Maybe. Just maybe. Crocsgores just shattered. Or broke off anyway. Mazdamundi went all the way down the hill. Saw some halberds he didn't like. Bullied them. Shoved them in a locker and gave him a good old-fashioned swirly. There we go. I love Zlak and I love just any kind of Stegodon, man. The Ankylosaurus and Triceratops combination is a pretty awesome one, and so is this map. It's just gorgeous. Kazaa did a fantastic job on it. So thematic, so well crafted. Transports us to a new world. CA, give us siege battles like this, please. It's so epic. Another one. Like DJ Khaled, Mazdamundi, dropping another one. Shield of the Old Ones. That ward save, keeping everybody in the fight. Another one. Curse of the Midnight Wind, going down. Another one. This is the only reason the Lizardmen are still in this fight. And Mazda is punching straight through, and he's into the Pathfinders now. And they're in a bad spot. This could be a huge problem for the defenders of Skeggi, unless Losteriksson does that and strikes down the Ancient Stegodon, strikes down Mazdamundi and Zlak, and now it might be panic on the Children of the Old One's side. That is a devastating blow to the Lizardmen army, and you can see its effects on the balance of power almost immediately shifting in the defender's point of view. Saurus are still healthy. Salamander Hunting Pack are still alive, but they have not been able to punch through these elite Huskarls. And the balance of power continues to swing in the defender's favor. But a lot of the Lizardmen, a lot of the attackers are going to come back. They panicked a little bit when they saw Mazdamundi die, but they know they have that Skink Priest and War of Heavens. They have that Leadership Tether and that Cold-Blooded to keep them in the fight a little bit longer. They are so close. They have punched their way through all the way to the apex of Skeggi, all the way to the final capture plaza. They just need to get rid of the handguns and a few more shielded troops. But they cannot seem to push through. Not yet, anyway. Not while Losteriksson of the Cool keeps his cool and keeps his defenders in the fight. An epic last stand. An epic fight for all the marbles. And Lizardmen continue to rout. And remember, once you have routed, I think it's 3 times, you will shatter completely. And a lot of these troops have routed twice already. Losteriksson has been such a beast this game. Honestly, I think the game really turned when he dropped that Old Ways summon, that Huskarl summon from behind. Gave his handguns a lot more time to fire in. And the Saurus, their ranks are thinning out now. The handguns are just completely eviscerating them. Salamanders doing what they can, But at the end of the day, a handful, a tiny handful, maybe 80 or so troops left, and Losteriksson himself are enough to defend this port city, and though their human population has been drained substantially after what was an incredibly aggressive and brutal siege, well, they have defended their homeland, and Lizardmen are sent scurrying back into the jungle with the tail between their legs. Atlas 99 and Hans, playing Lizardmen's side, played that well. Fatal Cowboy and the Duke, the creator of the End Times mod, managed to push them back and give us a really cinematic and spectacular siege battle. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. There were a lot of crazy kills in this one. Lord Mazdamundi was a beast. The Eschenhound ambush was certainly a highlight in this one. Definitely enjoyed that. Got a lot of kills, almost 400 between those 3 units. Fatal Cowboy, well, his Imperial Knights didn't have a fantastic time this game, but got some good volleys in with the handguns and some good positioning from the halberds as well. Crossgores, 300 kills. Dread Saurian, 255, and silver chevrons earned. Oh my god, 3,100 damage value. Nakai himself with 200 kills. Mazdamundi, 333, almost 3,000 damage value, and 50,000 damage dealt. Colon Riders were used well. But the Lizardmen, they had some troubles once they got into the choke pointy alleyways. It really does kind of favor the gunpowder play that the New World Colony and Skeggi employed in this one. And it meant the Dread Saurian, once it got inside the city, really wasn't able to do everything it wanted to do. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Really fun battle, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.